Good morning, PT on Ice Daily Show. Happy Thursday morning, coming at you today with Leadership Thursday on the Daily Show. My name is Alan. I'll be your host today, COO of Ice, faculty member in our fitness athlete division. Feel like I've been on the podcast a lot this week, but that's just kind of the way the schedule works out with different faculty able or not able to jump on. So Jeff and I cover down the gaps whenever we can. So happy Thursday. Not only is it Leadership Thursday, it is Gut Check Thursday. So Gut Check was released last night. Pretty simple, 21, 15, 9, 15, 21 of air squats and sit-ups. And then after each round, you're going to do 10 push-ups. So keeping the push-up volume a little bit low, something that you should be able to do unbroken. I like this workout. Very simple. Designed it so that Jeff can use it up in Madison with his course, and Zach Morgan can use it down in Texas with his course this weekend. But something that you can modify and scale. We gave options this time to modify for patients in the clinic. So I think that's pretty cool. You can do some sit-to-stands, do some planking, some Pallof presses, some push-ups to a box or a wall, and be able to dose this one out in clinic with patients. So that will be fun. If you try that and you get consent, feel free to post that and tag us. We would love to see some patients doing this workout. And then not only is it Gut Check Thursday and Leadership Thursday, it is 20.3 tonight. Interested to see what Dave Castro has for us, for those of us participating in the CrossFit Open. Some predictions on muscle-ups, maybe a heavy barbell, some predictions on deadlifts and box jumps if it's a repeat workout. So excited to see what gets announced tonight. Be tackling that tomorrow morning before I jump on a flight. Don't forget about Hump Day Hustling, our free weekly newsletter in your email inbox every morning at 8:30. That went out yesterday morning. We give you the top 5 research articles that the ICE faculty are reading that we think are worth your time. We throw it together in our workplace group where we talk and communicate with each other. Jeff picks 5, picks some social media posts as well, and sends it your way. Never any spam. We never contact you any way else besides just to send you Hump Day Hustling. So make sure you're signed up. Go to ptonice.com, scroll to the bottom of the page, and get signed up. Some courses coming up here real quick, and then we'll get into the meat and potatoes of today. The start of November 2nd and 3rd, Jeff will be in Fort Collins, Colorado for lumbar spine management. That's your last chance to catch Jeff this year teaching lumbar spine management. So if you want to learn from Jeff, that's your second to last chance this year to learn from him, period, but your last chance for lumbar spine management. That same weekend, Dustin and Christina will be out in New Jersey for Modern Management Older Adult Live, out in Paramus, New Jersey, November 2nd and 3rd. You can catch Zach teaching Fitness Athlete Live 2 weekends in a row, November 9th and 10th out in Los Angeles with the Prehab guys at Paradiso CrossFit, and then November 16th and 17th at Limitless Physical Therapy in Victor, New York. I'll be joining him for that one, so excited to see those of you who will be in New York. That same weekend, November 9th and 10th, your last chance to catch Jason for Rehab of the Injured Runner will be down in Augusta, Georgia at Peak Rehab. And then finally, your last chance to learn from Jeff this year will be November 9th and 10th in Milwaukee for cervical spine management. I will be there as well. Excited to see those of you who are coming out to learn about managing neck pain better. Our final live course of the year is with Jordan Berry, Lumbar Spine Management in Florence, South Carolina. That'll be it for live courses for the year. We've got some online courses starting and wrapping up through the end of the year. Persistent Pain Management starts October 28th, last cohort of the year with Justin, and then one spot left in telehealth, building your digital practice with Rob Vining, our brand new course. Only one spot left in that course. If you're looking to get into that course, you better grab it. That'll probably be gone today or tomorrow, definitely by the end of the weekend. That course starts October 30th. So that's it. Just a handful of courses left through the end of the year. So let's get into what we're talking about today. We had some good discussion, follow-up to Monday's video. Monday's podcast was Q&A Monday, and it was answering a question, tips to survive and thrive in PT school. And I talked a lot about spending time away from the traditional classroom, spending some time, especially on those days you already had dedicated to school, that maybe you had an exam and you had a couple hours free, and you were already kind of in PT student mode, and going to spend some time observing with folks who have a specialty you're interested in, or observing with faculty members. And had some good discussion about, whenever possible, do non-PT things as a PT, and it kind of sparked a little nice discussion about ways to manage burnout. Turned into a little burnout discussion, a little work-life balance discussion about how to avoid burnout, how to kind of go the distance in our profession by spending your non-PT time not thinking about physical therapy whenever possible. And I wanted to address that. We've talked about this topic a lot. Jeff used to answer this question. It seemed to be a weekly basis back in the Periscope days. It seems like Jeff was always talking about work-life balance. We haven't really talked about it in a while, and I want to come at it from a data standpoint, and then get into some ways I think that we can help manage that, and kind of tackle that topic today as we get started here. So the first thing I want to do is talk about, what does the data say about burnout? Is it actually a thing? We talk about it a lot in kind of a qualitative way, but what is the quantitative analysis of this? And it actually is a phenomenon. So for those who say it's not a thing, definitely something we perceive as healthcare providers, definitely something we can study, definitely something that can be crunched from a numbers perspective, from a data perspective. So clinician burnout, some interesting surveys and studies talking to physicians in particular and asking them about their feelings about burnout. So 54% of all physicians report being burned out. 88% report their stress level is moderate to severe, and 59% of all physicians would not recommend a career in healthcare to their children. So definitely something going on here, right? Definitely something that we can perceive, we can study. It's not just a matter of telling folks to suck it up and work harder. Definitely something that we perceive. I think there's a lot there to unpack. There can be a lot to be said about volume, and there can be a lot to be said about outcomes. If you're seeing a lot of people and they're not getting any better, I think that can be absolutely devastating to you. It definitely, as healthcare providers, none of us came into this profession with the idea that we would barely be able to help people and go home every day stressed out that we weren't making a difference. We all, I think, became healthcare providers because we believe we could make a drastic difference in people's lives. And when there's that disconnect, I think that's when burnout starts. And so earlier this week we had some recommendations of how to spend time outside, particularly talking to PT students, but how to spend time outside of physical therapy, doing non-physical therapy things. Some comments: don't spend any excess time outside of the time that you're being paid for. That can help you feel more valuable. So don't spend any time off the clock thinking about your job, doing anything for your job. Don't buy into the cultural myth that happiness comes from your job and from working hard, and that overall, work less hard and enjoy life more, incorporate more experiences. And so there's some stuff in there that I agree with and some stuff in there that I don't agree with. And so let's tackle that. Let's tackle, first of all, this concept of balance, whatever that may be. And I'll just say, from what I've observed, been working for 18 plus years now, what I have observed is that successful people who run successful businesses, people who are successful in their job, even if they aren't the owner of the business or the manager of a business, seem to naturally have trouble with balance. And the older I get, the longer I work, the more I work alongside successful people, I realize that's probably why they're successful people. They don't understand balance as well as most. They just are never satisfied with the job that they're doing. They are always looking to push the pace. They're always looking to see what they can change to become better at their job, to grow their business, to help their own employees become better as well. So successful people just seem to naturally have trouble with balance. We see that in business. We see that in sports with professional athletes. Pro athletes, again, don't really seem to understand balance. Training all day, every day, competing all the time. They don't really get the work-life balance aspect that some people tend to chase. Really good quote from Martin Luther King Jr. here. Your self-image should not come from the job you do, but how well you do your job. So there's something to be said with taking a lot of pride in your work and working not necessarily long. We often associate working long hours with hard work, and a lot of research will tell us that doesn't actually happen. That if we look at folks who are in their office 12 to 18 hours a day, they're not getting a lot of actual productive work done. So we often associate working long hours with working hard, and that couldn't be further from the truth. So taking pride in how well you do your job. Really awesome concept of winners dominate losers, which can be maybe a little bit controversial, a little bit aggressive, but we go through this concept and we say winners dominate losers, champions dominate winners, legends dominate champions. And so what goes into that is it's really easy to beat losers, right? Losers are losers because they're losers. They are satisfied with being mediocre. They're satisfied with being good enough. They're satisfied with kind of that, oh well mentality. I did my best. And so we don't want to be satisfied with competing with those folks because that's the low-hanging fruit. We want to come into everything we do, whether it's physical therapy, whether it's training for a marathon or training for CrossFit, whatever your physical fitness regimen might be, coming into it the mindset of dominating winners. So we see that happen in professional sports. We see really elite athletes get totally destroyed by other teams, and we see that idea of winners dominating, champions dominating winners and legends dominating champions. We see those folks who are just willing to take it a little bit more seriously, to work a little bit more harder than the rest, and that even among elite performers, there can still be those folks who stand out in the crowd. Something I've observed is that hard work and outworking other people is not necessarily as much about finding a way to work as hard and long as possible, but just not quitting. You can get very far. You can outlast a lot of folks, and you can have a lot of success if you just don't quit. Because a lot of people will fall off and quit. We see this reported in burnout. Folks are 6 months, 12 months into a job, and kind of the fairy tale beginning of a new position has worn off, and kind of the reality of the grind has set in, and then they fall off. They start looking for a new position. They aren't willing to maybe change the work environment, step back and see what's going on with themselves in their position, and they start looking for that new position, and they quit, and they kind of always chase that new job feeling. But you can get very, very far by just not quitting and outlasting other people around you. I think of all of the times when I was in the Army and we did super long ruck marches. A ruck march is where you put a heavy pack on your back, 50, 75 pounds, and you walk at a moderate pace, 3 to 4 miles an hour for sometimes what felt like forever, 10 miles, 20 miles, 30 miles, up to 50 miles. And really, it was kind of a mental thing, and it wasn't about hard work. Not really hard work, right? No brain power in putting a heavy thing on your back and walking relatively slow, and really not physically challenging. If you zoom out and look at it with an objective lens, not physically challenging either. Anybody can walk at a low speed a long distance. It's within the capability of most human beings to do that. But it really just became a matter of not quitting. people would let a little foot pain or a little leg cramp kind of nag at them and drop back and jump in the truck and quit the march. And finishing the march just became not so much working hard. We weren't racing each other. We weren't running to try and finish the fastest. It was just a matter of not quitting. So just hanging in there for the distance. And over time, realizing that the longer you didn't quit, almost the easier it became and the more comfortable you got with that discomfort. And I think that translates really, really well to working a position where once you adjust, once the new job fairy tale dust has blown off and you really start to learn the position and get comfortable, if you're willing to just not quit and stick it out, you can get very much more comfortable and stay in that position instead of seeking out a new position. And that comes with having a good support system, my second point here. Just being surrounded by people who are like you. If you like to work, if you find enjoyment in your work, there's nothing wrong with that. I completely disagree that we should not associate our happiness with working hard. I'm totally on board with Martin Luther King Jr.'s quote that your self-image can come from how well you do your job. Taking pride in how well you do your job doesn't matter what your job is. If you take good pride in it, you work really hard at it, and you become really good at it, I think that can be a giant source of intrinsic happiness and self-image. Certainly, I feel that way. So obviously, I'm biased with that quote, and that's why I picked it. But I firmly believe that, and I think having a support system with folks who are similar to you or who understand your mindset can really, really help you go the distance. If your friends, if your coworkers, if your colleagues are those kind of good enough, oh well type folks who are satisfied with putting in the bare minimum 9 to 5 and calling it quits, they will drag you down. They will make you feel bad about yourself, probably when you shouldn't need to. They will kind of poo-poo your work and success and tell you that you work too hard and you need to take it easy and that you need to ditch work and not get that presentation done or that project done and come out to the bar on Friday night or come up to the cabin on the weekend and skip that stuff. And if you have people like that as your support system, you will always have that nagging feeling. You will always have that pressure that pulls you away from being somebody that is good at their job and enjoys their job and finds happiness and self-worth from their position. If you have friends and a support system like that, versus if you surround yourself with other people who are like you, who find self-worth in the job that they do, who actually enjoy their job, like going to work every day, find fulfillment in the work that they do, and find that kind of intrinsic happiness from working. So make sure, not saying to ditch your friends, but just be aware, are my friends the people who drag me down and make me feel bad about the work that I do, or am I surrounded by a network of people who understand, hey, I am not going to be able to hang out on Saturday because I have a project or something that I need to do. Those are the people that will understand and not pressure you and understand that you need to get stuff done and that you enjoy getting the stuff done that you need to get done. My third point here is variety is the spice of life. Oftentimes, we call burnout, call our jobs burning us out and say that our jobs are burning us out. But what we need to realize is that it's not so much burnout as it is just repetition. Anybody that does the exact same thing all day, every day is going to get bored, get frustrated with what they're doing. I think of anybody who works in a factory and turns a wrench and does the same exact task all day, every day for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. I can't think of anything more terrible, more boring that would burn me out than doing the exact same thing all day, every day. When I think of really great clinicians and PTs in our field and why they have success and why they've had super long careers, why they've been PTs for 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, I step back and say, what is it that they're doing aside from enjoying their job and finding fulfillment and self-worth in their job? What is it that they're doing? And most of them are not seeing patients full time. They're not teaching full time. They're not researching full time. They're doing some combination of all of those things, and and even sometimes within the same day, they might be jumping back and forth between 2, 3, 4, 5 different aspects of PT, research, patient care, coaching, working personal training type stuff, teaching, all those different aspects, different ways that a PT can take their career. They might even be doing all those within one day, definitely within the same week, the same month. They are changing it up regularly, and I think that goes a long way to reducing the feeling of burnout and making sure that you can hang for the long haul. So being in the clinic, especially if you're in a clinic that's high volume and you're seeing a patient every 15 minutes, 30 minutes, you're seeing 10, 12, 20 patients a day, and you're doing that 5 days a week, 6 days a week, definitely, I don't know that's burnout so much as just doing the same thing over and over and over again. And with that comes, if you're seeing a lot of patients and you're super busy, if you are not getting the outcomes you like, you combine those two things together, lack of variety and lack of outcomes, and it's definitely a recipe for feeling frustrated and burned out very, very quickly. So talking about balance, talking about a good support system, talking about changing up what you're doing and finding some variety, how can we put all those together and kind of go the distance? I will say you need to reflect very, very, very deeply. If you feel this way, if you feel burned out, you need to step back and really question and ask yourself a lot of different things. And I think it's really important that you do this and try to understand, what are you feeling? Why are you feeling it? What do you think the solutions would be? No different than how you would talk to a patient about their pain. Hey, what do you think is going on? What do you think will help you? What do you think the solutions are that can help you get out of pain and return to function? We need to step back and ask ourselves those same questions. What is your why? What motivates you and gets you excited? And don't think about just physical therapy in this mindset. Think about whatever comes to your head. Write it down if you need to, journal it, whatever, what have you. But what motivates you? What gets you excited? And are those things the same things that you're trying to do 8 to 10 hours a day and get paid for? If there's a giant difference there, then that's definitely a concern, right? If you're a physical therapist and things that come to mind are surfing or reading or what would I want to do for 8 to 10 hours a day and get paid for? Are those things what your actual job is? If there's a big disconnect there, then that's a little bit troubling. But if you do say treating patients, helping patients meet their goals, reaching outcomes in the clinic, if those are things that you say, then we need to dig a little bit deeper. Because if you are motivated, if you are excited by going into the clinic and treating patients, going into the gym and coaching athletes, going in and doing research and crunching data, whatever you may be doing in physical therapy, if those were the things that came to mind, then we need to figure out then what it is about your current position that you have a misalignment there. So what is it about your position that burns you out? And so take some extreme ownership here. Check your ego. Is your job frustrating because you are seeing a lot of patients, because you're not getting the outcomes you want? If you're not getting the outcomes you would like to see, why? Is it because of your volume? Is it because you think you don't have a skill set that you need to help those patients? Are your outcomes not where they should be? Why or why not? And so take ownership of those problems, but also take ownership of the solutions. Start to plot out, a more long-term approach to your career. If I'm not getting the outcomes I want and I'm not concerned about volume, if I think it's a skill set I don't have, if I think my evaluation skills are not where they should be, if I think my ability to treat the ankle is not where it should be, things like that, then develop a plan. Develop a Con Ed plan. Develop a plan to learn a little bit more about those, to go and learn from somebody, maybe even with your own clinic. Maybe you don't need to go to a course. Maybe there's somebody in your clinic that can help you with those things. But take ownership of those problems and then take ownership of the solutions as well. If you are that person that is sitting in your car until 7:59 a.m. every morning before you walk into the clinic because you have this overwhelming sense of dread of going into work, then you need to change something. You're doing a disservice to yourself, obviously. That's kind of the whole point of today. But you're also doing a disservice to the people that you serve. That sort of feeling of dread and just maybe apathy is palpable. It wears off on the folks that you interact with. They can definitely perceive it. Fake it till you make it is a common phrase. People can totally tell when you're faking it until you make it. Think of any time you've ever had a customer service interaction and that person was just over the top faking it to be nice, and they probably don't care much or care at all underneath. You can perceive that. Think of that over the top server at the restaurant where you're just like, hey buddy, hey lady, calm down. Like, this is too much. Turn off that fakeness. I can perceive that. And our patients can pick up on that too. They know when we're not totally invested in the session. They can pick up on that. So make sure you're not that person. If you're that person sitting in your car listening to the radio until you absolutely have to walk into the clinic, step back, take some ownership, reflect on what's going on, and try to address those solutions. And don't think that you have to quit physical therapy or switch jobs to get the solutions that you want. I would really challenge you to talk to your management team, your ownership team, and just list your concerns out. Hey, I am seeing too many patients, more than I'm comfortable with. And if you are a good clinician, if you're getting good outcomes, if patients rave about you and recommend people to see you and write reviews for you on Facebook and Yelp and Google, and you're that clinician, then any manager, any owner that's worth anything is going to recognize that it's worth keeping you around and will help you meet your solutions for the problems that you perceive. Maybe reduce your patient care volume a little bit. Maybe make room in your schedule so that you can try and find a teaching position at a local university and help teach lab and add that introduce that variety into your day-to-day and week-to-week life that will help kind of lessen that burnout and overall increase your ability to go the long haul in the profession. So that was way longer than I wanted it to be, but I think that is a topic that's worth discussing. So burnout is real. The ways that we think and talk about avoiding burnout are maybe not necessarily the best way, which is to just only work 9 to 5 when you're on the clock and enjoy life more. To recognize that anybody that's ever had a lot of success naturally has trouble with balance, and if you feel that way, that doesn't mean anything is wrong with you. Most successful people tend to put more work onto the work side of the work-life balance spectrum than the life side. Have that support system in place that supports you, your friends, your family, people that understand that you like to work, you enjoy to work. There's nothing wrong with doing that versus having a support system of folks who shame you for maybe working too much or try to guilt you into stopping work to go do some of the life side of the work-life balance. Understand that variety is very, very, very important. Changing up what you're doing day to day, week to week, month to month will help you go the distance in this profession, but in really any profession. And then reflect deeply. If you are feeling burned out, why? Do you get motivated? Are you excited to treat patients and come into the clinic and do physical therapy things? If you are, then what it is about your current position that you feel like is burning you out? Is it something you need to work on? Is it something your management, your ownership team can help you on? But definitely don't be that person who is just dreading work and at a position where they're sitting in their car, hiding in the lunchroom whenever possible, until the last possible minute. If you're that person, step back, reflect really, really deeply on what it is you don't like, what it is you think is going on, and what it is you think you may need to change, what those solutions look like to be able to help you reduce that burnout. So that's what I've got. I hope that helps at least explain my personal thoughts on this. I know pretty much all of us here at ICE are biased towards the work side of the work-life balance continuum. We do have fun though, so so we're not total work robots. I mean, check it out. Look at this. Speaking of work-life balance, I've had a twin mattress from Walmart for 18 months and no couch. So taking the morning off from work to work on my life side of the equation, and I'm going to get a new bed and a couch like a normal human being. So there, you can't say that I don't have any work-life balance. I'll be back tomorrow. Hope you have a great Thursday. Hit gut check. Interested to see what 20.3 is. I'll be back tomorrow. We're going to talk about the functional movement screen on Fitness Athlete Friday. I've got a nice discussion about the FMS plan for tomorrow. If you're down in Orlando at AOMPT, Eric Chaconis, ICE faculty member Eric Chaconis, is presenting today on substance abuse, pain, and physical therapy. He's got a pre-conference course going on all day, so if you're down there, go check that out. I'll be down there tomorrow. I'm flying down tomorrow afternoon to talk in the evening about load management and also talking about the effects of deadlifts on low back pain and introducing the deadlift to clinicians so that they can learn the points of performance, learn the faults, how to Coach Q correct the deadlift, and start to introduce it with their patients. So Eric today, me tomorrow at AOMPT. Other than that, have a great Thursday. I will see you all tomorrow morning. Have a wonderful day.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the PT on Ice Daily Show. If you enjoyed this content, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. And be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you're interested in getting plugged into more ICE content on a weekly basis while earning CEUs from home, check out our virtual ICE online mentorship program at ptonice.com. While you're there, sign up for our Hump Day Hustling newsletter for a free email every Wednesday morning with our top 5 research articles and social media posts that we think are worth reading. Head over to ptonice.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up.